Hello, my name is Krista Mullins, and I am a program consultant in the Office of Assessment and Accountability. I am pleased to be talking with you today about the Quality of School Climate and Safety Indicator. The Quality of School Climate and Safety, or QSCS, is one of 6 state indicators in the accountability system. This slide contains important terms used in the accountability system. Today, we are going to discuss the rationale behind the Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey, how it is constructed, scoring, accountability weights, and how that data might be used. Let's look at the rationale for the QSCS. KRS 158:6455 establishes the accountability system that includes multiple meaningful measures for performance. The QSCS indicator uses perceptions from a survey to provide insight into the school environment. The history of the QSCS survey involved many stakeholders. The survey was created by Human Resources Research Organization, or HUMRO, with the assistance of students and other stakeholders, and it was tested for validity and reliability and field tested before implementation. How was the QSCS survey constructed? There are 2 forms, one for grades 3 through 5 and one for grades 6 through high school. Generally, students in grades 9 and 12 do not take state assessments. They will also not take the Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey. There is a modified version available for students on the alternate assessment. There are 2 constructs related to climate and safety, and students use a Likert response scale to indicate their agreement to statements. Copies of the survey questions for all forms and versions are available on the KDE Quality of School Climate and Safety webpage. How is the QSCS scored? Students are assigned scores of 0.00 for strongly disagree, 33.33 for disagree, 66.66 for agree, and 100.00 for strongly agree. They are averaged for each question to get a question score. The questions are then categorized into either climate or safety, and the scores are averaged into an index. As mentioned in the last slide, the 2 constructs that go into the overall score are the safety construct score and the climate construct score. The average student scores for questions associated with safety are averaged again to create one safety construct score. The average student scores for questions associated with climate are averaged again to create one climate construct score. Together, they are averaged to yield the climate and safety status score. At the elementary, middle, and high school levels, the Quality of School Climate and Safety Indicator is given a 4% weight. If, for some reason, a school does not have scores in a category, such as English learner progress, that percentage is proportionally redistributed among the other indicators. So the QSCS indicator would hold a little more weight than 4%. Here, you can see how the status score is calculated for each indicator. As previously stated, the status score for the QSCS is calculated by averaging the average score of the safety construct with the average score of the climate construct. Finding the status score is the first part of the process to find the overall score. There are 5 status levels ranging from very low to very high for the current year. Color ratings will include 5 performance levels from highest to lowest. Performance of schools will be reported by levels, elementary, middle, and high as applicable. Color ratings for each indicator will be used to communicate performance of schools, with red being the lowest and blue being the highest. On this slide, you can see the cut scores for elementary schools. If you notice, very low is from 0 to 66.9, low 67 to 73.9, medium 74 to 76.9, high 77 to 81.9, and very high 82 through 100. This slide shows us the status cut scores for middle schools. Very low 0 through 58.9, low 59 through 63.9, medium 64 through 67.9, high 68 through 74.9, and very high 75 through 100. On this slide, we see the status cut scores for high schools. Very low is 0 through 53.9, low 54 through 58.9, medium 59 through 63.9, high 64 through 67.9, and very high 68 through 100. It's important to notice that all of these cut scores for each level were established in 2023 through standard settings process and have not changed. When looking to determine the change scores, you will use the prior year score as well as the status score from the current year. For example, if the current status score is 62 and the prior status score was 52, you would take 62 minus 52, which would equal 10, the change score. There are 5 levels of change: declined significantly, declined, maintained, increased, and increased significantly. Here we can see the change cut scores for elementary schools. Declined significantly is minus 5.1 or less. Declined is minus 5 to minus 2.1. Maintained is minus 2 to 0. Increased 0.1 to 3.7, and increased significantly is 3.8 or more. This slide shows us the change cut scores for middle schools. Declined significantly is minus 5.1 or less, declined minus 5 to minus 2.1, maintained minus 2 to 0, increased 0.1 to 3.9, and increased significantly 4 or more. Here we can see the change cut scores for high schools. Declined significantly is minus 4.1 or less, declined minus 4 to minus 2.1, maintained minus 2 to 0, increased 0.1 to 3.9, and increased significantly 4 or more. Now that we know the status score and the change score, we can determine the indicator score, which is used to determine the overall score. By using our previous example, we will take the current year status score of 62 and add that to the change score of 10, which will give us the indicator score of 72. While this table does not have the specific cut scores, it can give you an idea of what the indicator performance levels will look like. Using this example from elementary school, we can see how the overall score is calculated. The QSCS indicator portion of the formula is shown on this slide with the red oval. You can see that we will take the QSCS indicator score of 72 that we calculated earlier, and will now multiply that by the weight of 0.04 or 4%. The weight came from the weight table that was shown earlier. The QSCS portion of the overall score formula after multiplying 72 by 0.04 would equal 2.88. Once you have calculated the other indicator scores and multiplied them by their weights, you can add each of these together to determine your overall score. For the QSCS indicator, the weight of 4% is the same at elementary, middle, and high school. Weights will be different for other indicators depending on the grade level. The overall performance rating combines performance on the state indicators for elementary, middle, and high schools. These ratings will be communicated using a color rating system, where blue represents the highest rating and red represents the lowest rating. The 5 performance levels from highest to lowest are blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. Indicator performance ratings are also reported as colors, the result of unique combination of status level and change level, not based on cut scores. Please note that the public school report card will be released later this year. The initial public release of assessment and accountability data will be in open house. This slide shows us the overall performance rating cut scores. How does this impact accountability? A common misconception is that the survey is for participation only, that if students just take the survey, the school automatically gets their 4%. However, survey responses matter. Positively affiliated scores generate a higher score for this indicator, and negatively affiliated scores will generate a lower score for this indicator. The scores then calculate into that 4% weight toward the overall performance rating. So now that we have the data, what are the next steps? The QSCS survey scores weigh into accountability, but the data provided from survey responses can also be a valuable tool for districts and schools. This data, which correlates to student perception of school and learning environment, can help a school or district identify areas of needed growth or implement school climate interventions. Maslow's hierarchy of needs has safety as the second priority of the base. If students don't feel safe, accepted, or included, it is more difficult for them to learn. Much like the way schools use academic data to plan interventions and next steps, the data from the QSCS survey can be used to create a more supportive learning environment. This slide contains a list of contacts in the Office of Assessment and Accountability. Feel free to reach out with any questions you may have. This concludes the Quality of School Climate and Safety portion of the state accountability trainings. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at 502-564-4394 or at dacinfo@education.ky.gov. Thanks so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.